As he did every morning, Harry had begun surveying the area once again. He first looked toward the wooded zone where baboons often gathered. That place was a nightmare for him. Behind every silence, there was always a storm waiting. Baboon troops might look scattered, but in an instant they could come together. He slowly moved his binoculars to the right and began watching between the branches. The baboons were there, just as always. Their numbers were quite large, but that was normal. Then he noticed a movement in the grass, a small movement that did not belong there. Harry adjusted the binoculars closer. His heart began to pound rapidly as if it might stop. A small striped body emerged from the grass. It was a Bengal tiger cub, far outside its territory, and it was alone. There was no sign of its mother, no shadow nearby to protect it. The cub stopped and sniffed the air, looking uneasy. It knew it was in the wrong place, but it was far too young to understand the consequences. It moved forward a little more. At that moment, one of the baboons let out a sharp scream, a sound powerful enough to freeze the savannah. Then another followed. Branches shook, bodies shifted. The baboons had noticed the cub. The tiger cub flinched and stepped back. Its tiny heart began to race. It growled, swung its paws, struck the ground forcefully, but the sound that came out was weak. This was not a challenge. It was pure fear. One baboon jumped down from the branch, then another. The circle was slowly closing in. Harry lowered the binoculars. Watching was no longer an option. He ran to the vehicle, slammed the door shut, and started the engine. His eyes were still fixed on the spot where the cub stood. One baboon blocked the cub's path. Another approached from behind. As the cub backed away, its foot caught on a root. It stumbled, nearly falling. The screams grew louder, the sounds turning more aggressive. Harry pressed the gas pedal down. The vehicle jolted and sped across the uneven ground of the savannah. Behind the steering wheel, there was only one thought in his mind. If he was delayed by even a few more minutes, everything would be over for this cub. The baboons were now dangerously close, and the cub had nowhere left to run. The vehicle sped across the uneven roads of the savannah, and Harry watched the baboons' area without taking his eyes off it for even a moment. As the car got closer, the baboons began to grow restless. But they still did not give up on the tiger cub. The cub, driven by its instinct to survive, tried to fight back. It had managed to get back on its feet and attempted to run, but it did not have the strength. An adult baboon jumped onto its back, while another blocked its way. The cub growled and snapped its teeth, but every movement grew slower and weaker. The circle tightened. Dirt, screams, and dust mixed together. At that moment, there was only one rhythm in the savannah: fear. As soon as Harry arrived at the area, he got out of the vehicle. Time was running out, and he had no weapon. But Harry had thought of this as well. He activated the high-frequency sound device he had taken from the car and ran toward the area. At first, no one understood what was happening. The sound kept rising, metallic, sharp, an unnatural hum that did not belong to the wild. One of the baboons turned around and looked toward the source of the sound, then another. Soon the entire troop was locked onto the direction the sound was coming from. Harry kept running. The sound grew even louder, and now the baboons began to panic, and the troop fell into chaos. The baboons started screaming, and the cub, confused and terrified, felt its fear grow even stronger. The time to scatter had come. The baboons began to flee, crashing into one another, first one leaping onto a branch, then another. Panic swept through them completely. The tiger cub remained where it was. Its legs were trembling. When the last baboon finally retreated, the clearing suddenly fell silent. The cub took a few steps but could not hold on any longer. It collapsed where it stood. Its small body was still shaking. Harry slowed down. He did not run. He knelt down. The cub lifted its head. Its eyes were wide, It was not aggressive. It was no longer even afraid. It was simply exhausted. Harry reached out his hand. The cub did not pull away. On the contrary, it crawled toward him and collapsed at the man's feet. Harry carefully lifted it into his arms. He could feel how fast his own heart was beating. The cub's breathing was uneven, its body hot. He took out some water from the vehicle and let a few drops fall onto its lips. The cub forced itself to lick the water with its tongue, then once more. Harry checked the injuries. They were not deep, but there were many of them. He had arrived in time. If he had been even a little later, the outcome could have been very different. He laid the cub on the back seat, keeping it in the shade. Then he turned his eyes toward the depths of the savannah. Somewhere out there had to be a mother searching for this cub, and it had to be taken back there, to the right place, at the right time. Harry slowly drove deeper into the savannah. He was not speeding. The tiger cub was stirring in the back seat, letting out a thin sound from time to time. That sound was like a call. Harry knew it. In situations like this, moving fast was important, but stopping in the right place was just as vital. He positioned the vehicle according to the direction of the wind and shut off the engine. The savannah became quiet again. There was only the sound of insects and the cub's weak breathing. Harry took a few steps back. He waited. It did not take long. From a distance, a deep and familiar growl was heard. Then the grass moved. The female Bengal tiger emerged. Her body was tense, her eyes hard. She first looked at the vehicle. Then she sniffed the air. She had caught the cub's scent. She took one step, then another. Harry stayed where he was. He did not reach for a weapon, nor did he make a sound. This was not a moment for intervention. The cub heard the sound. Its small body came alive. It lifted its head and answered with a thin call. The mother tiger quickened her pace. She stopped a few meters in front of the vehicle. The cub could no longer stay where it was. Harry slowly opened the door. He placed the cub on the ground. The cub paused for a moment, then started to run. It was unsteady but determined. The mother tiger moved toward her cub, sniffed it, licked it again and again. She wrapped her body around it. The cub tucked itself beneath her. It was safe. Harry stepped back a little more. He realized he had been holding his breath. The mother tiger lifted her head. For a moment she looked at Harry. It was not a threat, nor was it a warning. It was simply a look. Then she began to walk into the depths of the savannah with her cub. The cub looked back several times. Harry was still there. He slowly raised his hand. Sometimes a life is saved in silence. There's no applause. No one notices. But the savannah remains in balance for a while. If this story made you feel something, it is truly important that more people see these silent struggles that take place in nature. Harry returned to his vehicle, closed the door, and before starting the engine, took one last look at the horizon. He smiled. This time, he had arrived in time.